You know that feeling when you try to be careful with your privacy, but every week there is a new breach, a new scam, a new story about deepfakes and stolen data? That is not paranoia. That is the current reality of online privacy, cybersecurity, and the constant threat that your digital identity could be copied, twisted, or sold. In this video we are going to unpack how digital identity theft has evolved, why AI is pouring fuel on the fire, and what you can actually do to shrink your attack surface, demand better protections, and take back some control over your data and your private data. We will talk about privacy, online privacy, cybersecurity basics, and what a security breach really looks like in 2025. Let us start with the scale of the problem. One cyber intelligence firm found that leaked login credentials are up more than 160% compared to last year. At the same time, it takes businesses an average of 94 days to revoke or disable affected accounts after those credentials leak. That is 94 days where attackers can test those passwords, log in quietly, or use the same credentials to break into other services. Digital identity theft is rarely one clean event. It is a chain of small compromises, weak systems, and lazy security habits that add up to one big cyber threat. Security companies are also seeing a huge spike in what they call identity-related detections in cloud accounts. One firm reported almost 500% more detections in the first half of 2025 than in the whole of 2024. Part of that spike is because new AI-powered tools are getting better at spotting suspicious logins from strange locations, VPNs, and botnets. Here is the awkward part. Many of those suspicious logins are ambiguous. They might be a real user on holiday, or an automated process in the cloud. So defenders face a choice: investigate every alert and drown in noise, or ignore some of them and hope the real attacker is not hiding inside the gray area. That is the hard edge of modern cybersecurity. Now add a second twist. We used to think of identity as a purely human thing. Today, non-human identities are everywhere in your infrastructure. AI agents, chatbots, software containers, Internet of Things sensors, and background services all have credentials, permissions, and access rights. One identity security company has seen a 1,600% increase in attacks that target these machine identities. Meanwhile, more than 60% of organizations still do not even treat machines as identities that need protection. That is a huge, exposed digital attack surface. While this is happening online, the old-school fraud has not gone away. In the UK alone, more than 118,000 cases of identity fraud were recorded in just 6 months. Most of it sits in bank accounts and card fraud, but public sector identity fraud is surging, with criminals abusing driving license applications and former addresses. Insurance is seeing more fake applications. Gambling platforms have been hit by more than 100% growth in identity fraud, including criminals using identities of deceased people to open accounts and wash money. There is also a darker trend where people under financial pressure literally sell access to their own identities. That tells you something about the wider economic context in which identity and private data have become commodities. So where does AI fit into this mess? In two places. First, as an attack tool. Deepfake technology and AI-generated voices and faces are now good enough to fool employees in high-stakes environments. In 2024, a company in Hong Kong lost $25 million after an employee joined a video call with what he thought were his colleagues and his chief financial officer. Every face on that call was fake, generated from public video clips. The instructions to transfer money looked routine. The money was very real. Second, AI is being used to crack passwords at scale. Tools like PassGAN use neural networks to learn from leaked password databases. One study found that more than half of passwords tested were cracked in under a minute and more than 80% within a month. That is what happens when you mix weak passwords, recycled credentials, and powerful automation. Layer on top of that a steady increase in data breaches. More breaches mean more raw material for attackers to build synthetic identities, where fragments of real data are blended with fake information to create a new, convincing but fictional person. Lenders in the United States have already seen billions in losses from these synthetic identities in sectors like auto loans, credit cards, and personal loans. For big financial institutions, the signal is loud and clear. The chief executive of one of the largest global banks has called cybersecurity the biggest threat to the industry and says they block tens of billions of attack attempts per day. They are spending billions on cybersecurity alone. If that is the level of effort required to protect their data, imagine how naive it is when smaller organizations treat security as an afterthought. So what can you actually do if you are not a global bank with a $15 billion tech budget? Let us break it into 3 layers. shrinking your attack surface, demanding better protections, and claiming more autonomy over your digital identity. Shrinking your attack surface is about reducing the number of doors, windows, and weak spots an attacker can probe. At the organizational level, that means assuming zero trust as a mindset. Do not automatically trust any device, any user, or any service just because it is on your network. Map your assets. Know every server, application, mobile device, and cloud service that touches your data. Remove redundant systems and legacy software where possible, because you cannot secure what you do not know exists. Segment your network so that if one part is breached, the attacker cannot roam freely. Use strong encryption policies so that even if data leaks, it is unreadable. Monitor for vulnerabilities continuously, not once a year. And train your people, because the human attack surface is still one of the easiest ways in for social engineering and phishing. On a personal level, shrinking your attack surface means brutally simple habits. Stop reusing passwords. Use a password manager. Turn on multi-factor authentication everywhere, especially for email, banking, and social media. Close old accounts you no longer use. Lock down privacy settings. Treat every unexpected link, call, or message that asks for data or money as hostile until proven otherwise. The second layer is demanding better protections from organizations. Surveys show that most people do not trust either companies or governments to protect their data properly, yet they keep handing it over because there is no real alternative. At the same time, a large share of executives admit they do not have a coherent information security strategy, a proper incident response plan, or even basic security awareness training in place. Companies respond to incentives. If consumers walk away from services with sloppy security and reward transparent, privacy-conscious providers, behavior changes. Data protection laws like the GDPR or California's privacy rules help by setting minimum standards and giving you rights to access, correct, or delete your data. But regulation is always playing catch-up. Real pressure comes from customers switching providers, from investors asking hard questions about cyber risk, and from boards treating cybersecurity as a strategic risk, not an IT problem. The third layer is digital autonomy, the idea that your digital identity should not just be something that can be bought, sold, or weaponized without your say. In practice, autonomy means knowing where your identity is stored, which services can vouch for you, and where you can revoke access or delete data. It means using privacy tools that block tracking, using virtual cards or alias email addresses where possible, and exercising your legal rights to see what companies hold about you. It also means pushing back on systems that treat identity purely as a product. When an app demands more data than it needs, that is a design choice. When a platform makes it harder to delete your account than to create it, that is also a choice. Digital identity systems can be built to strengthen rights or to quietly turn you into a permanent data source. Those are not neutral technical decisions. They are political and economic ones. The uncomfortable truth is that digital identity theft will not disappear. As long as there is valuable data, there will be a market for stolen identities, synthetic personas, and deepfake-powered scams. The goal is not perfect security. The goal is resilience. Limit the damage when a breach happens. Make yourself a harder target than the next person or the next organization. Support rules and tools that put privacy, online privacy, and data protection at the center, rather than treating them as afterthoughts. Your identity is not just a login and a password. It is a collection of data points, behaviors, and credentials that shape how systems see you and how the world treats you. Guard it, question who has access to it, and keep as much control as you can with you rather than with the next platform that wants to turn you into a line in its customer database. If you found this useful, stay tuned. In future episodes we will go deeper into practical tools, real case studies, and step-by-step guides to harden your digital life without turning it into a full-time job.